Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, June 29. On this date in 1998, WCW Monday Nitro aired live from Tampa, Florida. In the main event, Goldberg defeated Glacier. On this date in 1998, WWF Monday Night Raw aired live from Cleveland, Ohio. In the main event, Steve Austin pinned Kane to win the World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Championship. On this date in 2008, WWE held its Night of Champions pay-per-view. In the main event, Triple H pinned John Cena to retain the WWE Championship. On this date in 2009, WWE Monday Night Raw aired live from San Jose, California. In the main event, Randy Orton defeated Evan Bourne and Jack Swagger but lost to Mark Henry in a gauntlet match. This has been Today in Wrestling History, June 29.
You are listening to Pro Wrestling Weekly with Fearon Dairy.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Dairy here with you on a recorded program while I see relatives up in Canada. It's the annual Canadian vacation going up to Bizarro Land, as I have been since Thursday. I'll be back next week in the States, ready to do it all live again from the WBCB studios. Got that coming for you on July 6th. Looking forward to it. Got some news and notes coming your way to close out the program. First, this one from last week, and this is just a tragedy. A 13-year-old boy, Devlon Armstrong, is accused of beating his 5-year-old sister to death after allegedly using WWE-style wrestling moves on the girl at their apartment in New Orleans. It's a story that received significant attention locally in the New Orleans area, especially creating questions about whether WWE has any responsibility in the death. WWE issued a statement responding to the news saying local authorities have already charged the accused with second-degree murder and determined that this was not an accidental death due to a wrestling move. They say the death of Vila de Louis is a tragedy and our condolences go out to her family. WWE urges restraint in reporting this unfortunate incident as if it were the result of a WWE wrestling move. According to local officials, 5-year-old Vila de Louis died from blunt force trauma and multiple internal injuries. The teenage brother told police that he punched her in the stomach several times, jumped on her, and struck her with his elbow like the wrestlers do on television. Now, the attorneys are going back and forth determining whether or not Devlon was mentally competent to understand the legal situation, suggesting that he did not understand that he hurt his sister, and they've been going back and forth on that. The next step is he's being evaluated by a psychiatrist to determine whether he can participate in his own defense and understand the proceedings. A hearing about the competency is scheduled for next month. WWE is taking the perspective that this situation was not friends imitating WWE wrestlers and something unfortunate happened. No, this is a teenager who might have larger mental issues, is under question, and if not wrestling moves, he may have used another approach to beat her to death. Later last week, WWE releasing a new statement concerning the death of Vila de Louis. The statement reading, "The death of Vila de Louis is a tragedy, and we express our heartfelt condolences. Authorities have already charged the accused with second-degree murder and determined that this was not an accidental death due to a wrestling move. The facts of this case clearly point to lack of parental supervision and a teenager who had a history of violent behavior toward his 5-year-old stepsister. It is illogical to conclude that the repeated, brutal, and ultimately fatal beating of a 5-year-old little girl by a teenager could be confused with imitation of WWE action seen on TV. Way to lay that extra spin out, WWE." Speaking of laying out, wrestling wipe swap. I talked about it last Saturday. It is on this coming Sunday, June 30th. It'll officially be tomorrow by the time this makes air. WWE Hall of Famers Ric Flair and Roddy Piper and their respective families will appear on Celebrity Wife Swap on this Sunday, June 30th, tomorrow on ABC. Flair will send girlfriend Wendy to live on Piper's Portland, Oregon ranch, while Piper will send wife Kitty to Ric Flair's home in North Carolina. Does that mean another divorce is going to be happening sometime soon? Yeah, I doubt it. Hard to say. All right, got more news and notes coming your way, including pro wrestling legend Jackie Fargo. Real name Henry Fagart died on Monday at age 85. He had been hospitalized since last week with a heart issue. Fargo began wrestling in the 1950s and later introduced the Fargo Strut as part of his act. Jeff Jarrett tweeting on Monday, R.I.P. Jackie Fargo, huge influence on my career, often imitated but never duplicated. So that's where Jeff Jarrett got his strut from. Go figure. Also, preliminary estimates released by WWE list Extreme Rules as totaling 228,000 buys. The event was headlined by the third Brock Lesnar against Triple H match. The 2012 Extreme Rules event was headlined by John Cena against Brock Lesnar and produced a final tally of 263,000 buys, which was up from 209,000 in 2011 and 182,000 buys in 2010. So it's trending down a little bit, but not too much. Also, I mentioned Ric Flair earlier. Got another Ric Flair update for you. He will not attend his induction into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, Dan Gable Museum, this year. According to a press release from the Hall of Fame, we regret Rick cannot make this year's Hall of Fame weekend. This came from Kyle Klingman, the director of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame Dan Gable Museum. However, we are very excited about the weekend festivities. Edge and Matt Hughes are two of the biggest names in their respective professions. Museum namesake Dan Gable will also be in attendance. This will be a historic weekend for everyone involved. The Hall of Fame weekend is July 12th and 13th in Waterloo, Iowa. The reason given for Flair's absence was a family commitment. Now, CM Punk, this is a messed up story. CM Punk has filed a restraining order against his mother. Let me repeat that, because it bears repeating. CM Punk has filed a restraining order against his mother, claiming she has harassed him for money and threatened to kill herself when he refused to help. A judge granted a temporary order on June 10th, and Punk was due in court this past Wednesday, seeking to extend the order. At the time of this recording, there was no further update, but then again, the news outlets were spending most of the day focusing on that mess with now former New England Patriots tight end Aaron Hernandez and his murder arrest, which I'm sure it'll get some attention. Not necessarily, OJ attention, but I'm sure it'll get attention nonetheless. Also, a Jack Swagger update. Jack Swagger, he showed up for court in Gulfport, Mississippi on Tuesday wearing a splint on his right hand because of the torn tendons. Swagger telling a SunHerald.com reporter that he severed a tendon in his thumb. Swagger was also found guilty of DUI and speeding at his trial in that Gulfport Municipal Court on Tuesday. The judge dismissing the possession charge, sentencing him to 6 months probation, a $500 fine, as well as court costs. His 2-day jail sentence was suspended. And also, The Snake Stumbles, a video released on Diamond Dallas Page's YouTube page documenting Jake the Snake Roberts being confronted in the accountability house after going back to his old ways and having alcohol with an old friend. It's titled A Time for Accountability Part 1. More set to come, including Jake's conversation with Dallas, the video showing other members of the accountability crib discussing whether to ignore the behavior or to talk to Dallas about it. They opt to confront Jake directly, who admits that he slipped up but doesn't want to ruin his 2014 Royal Rumble bid. So hopefully he can get back on track. Hopefully we'll find out and see whether Dallas has a bit of kindness in his heart, because initially it was a zero tolerance. You screw up once and you're kicked out, especially given the demons of the past for Jake the Snake Roberts, which I think leading up to this, most of them were quelled, but let's just say the exposure is not good. And finally, to put a little bit of light on things, just because there's been so much negative stuff going on over the course of the week, Zack Ryder creating a parody video. Yeah, Zack Ryder created a parody of WWE's new 1-800-FELLA vignettes, showing Ryder, in this case, getting buried at the beach because the kid at the beach wanted to bury somebody in the sand, so the father dialed 1-800, well, not 1-800-FELLA, but 1-800-WWWYKI. And next thing you know, in pops Zack Ryder, who says, "Looks like this is a job for me," and the kid proceeds to bury him in the sand, because I guess he's used to being buried in WWE. That's possibly where they're going with it, but I don't know if it's harmless fun or if it's leading to a push for Zack Ryder. I don't know. Maybe it could be leading to a program of Zack Ryder against Sheamus in the Battle of the 1-800 numbers. That would be kind of not interesting. I don't know. Anyway, that's going to just about do it for me. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you up there to a whole host of folks, relatives of mine, keeping things fun up there. Of course, Paula, Walter, Grant, Marianne, Sarah, Ariel, Jeff, Ian, Aaron, Aiden, Carl, Tracy, Logan, Jacob, Paul, Colleen, Rachel, and Jared. I think I got them all. There's like 18 of them, so it's a lot to throw out there, but certainly a lot of fun. Looking forward to coming back. Saturday, July 6th, I'll be on the air talking more developments for Money in the Bank, give you an updated standings on the Bound for Glory series. Looking forward to that as well. Thanks so much to Nick Cataldi, turning the dials, pushing the buttons, and keeping me on the air here as he always does. And we've got more news and notes, all kinds of stuff coming your way. A week and a half's worth of stuff to talk about, as I'm sure there's going to be some reaction to what happened this past Thursday and Friday. Although, since I'm talking about it now and it's Wednesday night into Thursday morning, those things haven't happened yet. So there's still a lot to get into. We'll get into that next week. For now, stay tuned. Nick Cataldi, he's got country music coming your way here on 1490 WBCB.